Tristan, good to have you on here, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, man. What's that shirt you got on there? It looks pretty cool. I like it.
It's a butthole surfer shirt, actually.
We're gonna have to bleep that, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it from Don Rock, who is this artist that used to do a bunch of their like posters and shirts and stuff like that. And I follow him on Instagram, and he was like redoing a bunch of their old designs, and I bought one of them off Instagram just because I liked it. Love that band.
Oh,
So
that's sick. Yeah.
yeah.
Is it one of those bands that maybe had a influence on you early on in your music career, or was it something that you stumbled across later on?
I would say honestly that I stumbled across them. Um, Later on, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a band that I got into more recently. Not super recently, but like a few years ago. Other than knowing like their couple like big singles, I didn't like really actually get into them until like a few years ago.
Yeah. Who were some artists that grabbed your attention early on when you started performing or started making music?
Um, well, I feel I always tell everybody like my kind of musical awakening was going to like local shows where I grew up in San Luis Obispo. There was like a few bands in San Luis Obispo that, played and did like kind of like DIY circuit type stuff. And they were definitely the biggest influence of anything to get me to like want to start a band. Primarily these two bands, Ragged Jubilee and then another band, King Walrus. Um, King Walrus who isn't active anymore and Ragged Jubilee who is active sometimes, not very much, but just I
That's a
think
mark of a good band, by the way. They're like,
yeah.
oh, are they playing? Oh, we got to go see them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, that less of like studio bands and more just like um live music. I would say live music as a whole is like kind of my biggest influence.
Yeah, local people as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, where I grew up in San Luis Obispo. Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
right on. Do you constantly come across new bands that inspire you in some way to make your own music, or is it something that is sparsely coming across the table?
Uh, I think so. I make a pretty conscious effort to try and keep up on new stuff and like see new bands all the time. Like last night I saw Self-Improvement and
Yeah.
Memo PST at
Oh, they're great too.
yeah, at Zebulon. And I know that I've known the Memo guys, like all four of those guys for a long time from different bands and stuff. And yeah, and like that show was great. Like both those bands were so good. I didn't see the first band, unfortunately, but the yeah, Memo and Self-Improvement were both amazing. So yeah, I think in micro and macro levels, like every time you see a band, it inspires you in some way.
Yeah.
Chris was in a bunch of other bands that were really sick, like X Cole and Gogs and Richard Rose and stuff, the singer of Memo. And I know Jackson and Emmanuel from another band that used to live in Slow called Repeater, who I had like played with a few times, who are also like super good, super great band. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. Um, Now you're from Slow, but you're in Los Angeles now.
I
Is
live
that
in
the
Los Angeles. Yeah, I live in like kind of right in Alhambra, El Sereno area, like right on the border of those two areas. Yeah, I moved here earlier this year, but I grew up in San Luis Obispo, but was back and forth between Slow and LA a lot.
what made you
Uh,
make a move?
Um, well, I spent a lot of time here. I have a lot of friends here. Like a lot of my friends that are from Slow ended up moving here. Um, and then for a period of time, I was also dating someone that lived in LA, so I was down here a lot. And for like the past 5 or 6 years, I've been selling at the Rose Bowl flea market. I sell like antiques and junk and stuff. So like I was down here normally at least once a month for like the past 5 years or whatever. And then finally just jumped off and decided to move down here.
So you're also an American picker in addition to music.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see there's a bunch of junk around me, but I love stuff, antiques and weird little trinkets and stuff like that. I'm kind of a hoarder and sell stuff so that I can keep buying new stuff, I guess.
I like it, dude. I like it.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten rid of something that you, in hindsight, you're like, oh, I should have held on to that?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think I've definitely like there's been certain things that I've sold like too cheap and then found out later they were worth a lot more money. But, um, I don't know. That's part of the whole thing is regretting things sometimes. It's part of the learning experience, I guess.
That's just part of picking, and I think that
Yeah.
they go over that with each episode, American Pickers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Or Antiques Roadshow for that matter. I was just watching
Antiques
that.
Roadshow, also great. Pawn Stars, great. All that stuff. It's my Bible a little bit.
Would you ever bring something to get appraised on Antiques Roadshow?
If I had something really good,
I mean, I
every
bet you have some good stuff. I mean, I
I
can
have
see what you got in the background.
I have some good stuff. I've had like a few I
Monet's.
no Monets. I buy and sell a lot of art and stuff and have been like helping someone here, actually I'll show you because I have something sitting right here. I found this yesterday and I think this is an original serigraph
I
from
like that.
a Matisse serigraph from 19 like 52 or 54 or something, like right before he died. Um, but yeah, I'm like this. I wasn't sure, and I like opened it up and like looked at it close, and I think it might be. So this actually might be kind of valuable. Like
So
maybe
you're
like
going to Nashville to get it appraised. I like
going
it.
to Nashville, exactly.
So going back to bands and whatnot, let's take Memo for example, or Self Improvement. You obviously hear some influences from their music that are, going back to older sounds of the, 80s and 70s and such.
Hmm.
Um, do you think that there will be a time in the future that bands will not gravitate towards where people are gravitating to now in terms of getting inspiration for their own sounds? Do you think that they'll just only go back to bands of this time and not go any further back?
Um, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I think long answer. There's a lot of genres that kind of go in and out of popularity. Um, and seeing things in especially like the smaller, lower tier bands, um, like styles that like come in and out, and that are obviously influenced by different decades. Like 10 years ago, there's kind of like the like psychedelic surf rock kind of thing that was like very 60s or whatever. And I feel like in, certain scenes, there's like a big like 70s, 80s punk, post-punk, no wave kind of thing. And then there's also like a big, you know, shoegaze kind of thing right now going on, like a big like 90s influence thing and a lot of up and coming bands. Um, but I think over time it's become maybe a little bit less cohesive and there's more freedom to take influence from different genres or like combining different things. There's a lot of bands that are kind of putting together like a little bit of like 70s and 90s influence or something, which is cool, which I think is, creating something new. It's like mixing ingredients together or whatever. So I think bands and musicians are always going to be inspired by stuff from all different kinds of decades, and I don't think any specific style will ever die out completely. But yeah, maybe
Unless you say so, right? Because you're the tastemaker now that
I
you moved
guess
on.
so. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's weird how things kind of become popular or fade out of popularity. Um, but yeah, who knows? I guess it's just up to the people at the time and a reflection of culture at the time.
And yourself, of course.
And myself, the culture decider. Exactly.
Um, do inspiration does inspiration for music specifically, does that kind of hit you more when you're not looking for it rather than kind of seeking it out,
Um,
or vice versa?
yeah, I think like things that are really inspiring or bands that I really like or whatever, it kind of just like will come at random times. Like I'll get obsessed with a band or something like unintentionally. Um, and yeah, it's not always like I'm like, oh, I need some new inspo or something new to be into. It just sometimes gets handed to you accidentally, I think. Like some of my favorite bands are bands that I just kind of discovered on accident, and then fell in love with, I guess.
Do you try to look outside of music for inspiration for your own music sometimes, or do you try to keep it centralized within sounds of bands?
I think maybe lyrically or stylistically, um, yeah. I think sonically probably not, but yeah, I try to like because I write most of the lyrics, or I write all the lyrics for the band that I'm in. Um, and yeah, I try to like not just write lyrics like other people. Like I try to like have it come from somewhere else. Um, like my band has a newer song out that's gonna be on our next album that's called "Be Here Now," which is like very clearly just inspired by the Ram Dass book. Um,
Which is, by the way, it's streaming everywhere. Not the song, the Ram Dass
yeah,
audio book.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool to get influence through, different ideas or books or whatever, as opposed to just like trying to write like Nirvana or whatever. Like Kurt Cobain got a lot of his influence from, being well read and reading a lot of books or something. Not that I read a lot of books, but I think that's a good place to
Well,
get
audiobooks.
audiobooks. I'm gonna be listening to a lot of audiobooks, but
Is that if you explain to somebody that you've heard the audiobook, what do you say? Do you say that you've listened to the audiobook, or do you say that you've read the book?
I would say that I've listened to the audiobook. I listened to Lord of the Rings on audiobook a little while ago.
That must have been really long, no?
It was relatively long. I listened to the first um book and a half, and then I listened to yeah, Fellowship, and then like half of Two Towers. But but yeah, it did take a while for sure. But I spent a lot of time in the car, so it's yeah.
You got to listen to something.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I mean, would you correct somebody if they said, "Oh, I read that," and then it came out later that they listened to the audiobook of it? It's not the same, is it?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's kind of cheating, I would say.
Has the way that you look at forming arrangements for songs changed from when you began to now? Do you feel like that it's shifted?
Yeah, I feel like it has. I feel like um obviously the band that I'm in, Pancho the Wizards, has been around for 10 years, and now like we just said 10 years. And when I first started doing it, I really didn't know anything about songwriting and was kind of just like, doing whatever, just trying to make a song, more simple songs. And then as I kind of developed a little bit, I thought like the way to write a song was to write a song with the most amount of parts possible, and changes and stuff. And I tried to write songs that were just kind of like weird and had a bunch of parts and changed a lot. Um, and then now I've kind of gone back and tried to simplify stuff, like some of the songs that I've written, or like some of the songs on this new album that I have coming out, um, were more complicated and got dumbed down a little bit just to make it more palatable. So, yeah, I would say I kind of went from writing simple songs to trying to write more complicated songs to trying to write more simple songs because I like making things that are relatively digestible, I guess.
Do you think that the coin will flip once more and then it gets into super complex structures and chord progressions and
I
whatever
hope
else?
so. Yeah, I would like to. I mean, I don't even think it's super complicated chord structures or whatever. It's just like trying to cram as many parts into a song as I could in the past. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll go back that direction. That sounds cool.
Have the lyrics changed um, as well as the instrumentation for songs? Do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. Um, I don't know. Every song lyric I've ever written, like I look back on and I'm just like, oh my God, that's so corny. But yeah, I feel like they've gotten better. Like from when I was a lot younger, it was definitely a lot more, I don't know, elementary, I guess. Just kind of throwing words together and then I tried to write things that sounded a little more psychedelic, and then ended up writing things that are a little more like sad or whatever. And I think in my opinion now, the best lyrics um, are ones that are just vague. I think writing lyrics that are vague or open to interpretation is the best, because then people can take their own meaning from it. Like a lot of songs that I like, or artists that I like, have lyrics that are just very vague or open to interpretation. So if anything, I feel like I'm trying to write lyrics now that are more vague.
Does the seed of these songs, are they kind of revolving around situations or thoughts that are relative to your personal experience, or do you try to look outside of yourself into other situations and kind of get a some momentum from somebody else's experience, perhaps,
I think
or
it
looking outside yourself?
I think for this album that's about to come out, um, it was very much so just like a reflection of where I was at the time. Lyrically, I wasn't really trying to do anything, I don't think. I think it just kind of came out how it came out, kind of thing. Um, and yeah, maybe sounds a little more like sad or um, I don't know, introspective or something. And I feel like that's when I wrote most of the songs, which was like 2 or 3 years ago. That's kind of where I was at the time. So yeah, I think it's kind of inward reflection to
Right.
some extent.
Not fully, but to some extent.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, everybody's influenced by um, exterior, factors or whatever, at least a little bit. But
I would say so. I
yeah,
think I'm not going to debate you on that.
yeah.
When did Pancho and the Wizards start? When did that project start?
Um, it kind of came to be in like 2014, and our first show was in 2015. So a long time ago when I was like 17 years old. Um, yeah. So it's changed a lot over time. It's like really not the same band that it was, and it almost feels like, I don't know, it feels kind of silly to me sometimes that it is the same band or under the same name or whatever, because that felt like such a like, teenage kind of thing, and now I'm like taking it a little bit more seriously. Um, but yeah, it's been around for about 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. What prompted you to start this project? Do you remember what the catalyst was that kind of brought this into fruition?
Yeah, I mean, um, I wanted to start a band, like I wanted to be in a band. I was going to a lot of local shows and stuff. And back to who I had referenced earlier, the Ragged Jubilee, who was like a local band. I had put out a like little demos thing on Facebook and stuff through Bandcamp, and the guy from Ragged Jubilee hit me up and was like, you wanna open for us in a month?" And I was like, I don't have a band, I just made that like demo with some of my friends and stuff. And he's like, well, get a band together. I was like, okay. So I just committed to doing it, um, without, having solidified band members or having ever played a show. So I just kind of I got pushed to do it.
Oh,
And then
that was your first show you ever played, or had you played
I,
some other
I
shows?
played some like random, yeah, I mean, that was like the first real show I ever played. Um, I played like in guitar at school and stuff, or like little performance, or like I played at like a winter formal in high school when I was like a sophomore in high school or something. Just like, but this was like my first show. Um, I actually am looking, I have the poster hung up for it, like right over there still. Because it
For
was my
sale or not for sale?
not for sale. That would be a regret if I sold it.
I
But
mean, that's what they always say about American pickers when they
yeah,
get in those barns. They go,
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
Exactly. Yeah, it was cool. It was at my favorite venue at the time, which doesn't exist anymore. It was Slow Brew, like before it was Slow Brew Rock, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a sold out show. Um, and it was great. And I was like hooked, and I was like, okay, I gotta play more shows now. So yeah.
So that really got the ball rolling.
That got the ball rolling, yeah. And then yeah, that was kind of it. And then have been on and off since then, had different members and everything. And yeah.
Did you know what the sound even, I mean, before this this first show here, did you know what the sound was going to be for this project, or did it just kind of come out naturally how it came out?
I mean, at the time, like the early um version of the band was very strongly influenced by like the local bands in slow. Um, Specifically King Walrus and Ragged Jubilee was kind of like fast blues rock punk, like kind of like I don't know, like you know, White Stripes, Black Keys, but a little more punk and nasty, you know. Um, so I felt like in the early days I was definitely kind of trying to fit into the vibe of like the bands that I liked locally. But kind of grew into our own vibe a little bit over time, I think.
Do you feel like there's still remnants of that first iteration within your what you're doing with the band now?
I think so a little bit. Like I kind of learned playing guitar like doing like kind of like blues chords and stuff, like the seven or minor seven or whatever, like where you take your pinky off a bar and like up until our last album, that's still how I was always playing bar chords with, you know, it had like a little bit of twang of like a blues chord just because that was like how I learned how to play bar chords was just like a three finger like seventh chord. And like I eventually was like, okay, I need to stop doing this, you know? But yeah, I feel like in some ways there's a little bit of that peeks its way through for sure.
Right. Yeah, I mean, do you even want that to not be there, or do you feel like that's a defining characteristic at this point?
Um, that's yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of a yeah, you always want to show a little bit of where you came from or what you came from. Um, as long as there's also room to grow. So I think it's good to have a little bit of the past, you know, your own past in what you're doing currently instead of trying to completely reinvent yourself, you know?
Do you remember what the first song was that you wrote for Pancho and the Wizards?
Um, First song I wrote for Pancho. Yeah, I think the first song I wrote was called Yeah You, which is a terrible song. It's it's on Bandcamp, I think. Um, but that was probably the first song, but the one thing about writing songs that suck is being able to look at them compared to songs you're writing now and being like, I mean, you know, at least it's better. At least I'm a little bit better, you know? So,
Right.
yeah.
Do you look at every song differently or view it in a different light from when you first wrote it or began performing it to now or later on?
Um, like our older songs, like, do I look at them in a different way than I used to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like every song I've ever written or put out, like, by the time I put it out, I don't really like it anymore. Um, like the album we're putting out that's coming out next month, um, I'm really excited to put out and stuff. I'm ready to, but you know, I'm ready to be done with it. I'm ready for it to be out, and I feel like it's a lot, you know, it's better than other things that I've written in the past, but I'm already like I have certain things about it I don't like or whatever, and like I want to try something else, you know, so um, yeah, I think everything I've ever put out, by the time it comes out, I'm kind of like over it or I don't want to hear it again, you know? Um, but yeah, that's part of creative process, I think, for making new stuff. It's not liking something else that you've done.
Does it does it ever get a rebirth, if you will, or do you come back around to liking it? Like, oh, okay, I like having this in the rotation again, or whatever it may
I
be.
I think with live stuff, yeah. I think with like playing like yeah, I think every once in a while it's cool to like play something live that I haven't played in a long time. Um and like maybe reinterpreting it a little bit. Um, like Noah, who plays guitar for Pancho and the Wizards, he joined the band after we did our last album. Like he started playing in the band, and we've been kind of revisiting some of our older songs live with him, and it's kind of nice to have a second guitar player and uh reinvent a song a little bit, or like give it a new life or a new vibe, or a little, it takes a little bit of pressure off me to be the sole guitar player, to have like somebody else to lean on a little bit, and then I get a little bit more freedom to be kind of creative with reinterpreting an old song live. So yeah, I think in the live sense, yes.
Yeah, there's been a number of different people involved in this band over the years, right? Over this 10 years span.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Was it always the intention for this project was to kind of have a revolving door of people in and out?
Um, Kind of. Yeah. Uh I think the lineup right now is pretty solidified. Like everybody that's in the band now feels like a core member. Yeah, I just don't think I wanted to put too much pressure on people in the past to like y- uh, you know, commit to something that they didn't want to make um their main thing. Like uh people are in other bands or have jobs or whatever, and I don't want to put unnecessary pressure on people to do stuff, and then it's like if you end up not playing anymore because of whatever reason, there's no like hard feelings. Um so yeah, and also I've always like the band kind of started as, like I said, when I just got kind of asked to play a show, it started as like an outlet to play live shows for songs that had already been recorded. So um like from the beginning it was like I always like wrote the songs, like the songs were already written, and then I just wanted people to play with them. But now um it's more of like a collaborative, like cohesive thing as opposed to in the past. So I feel like that's why it was a little more rotating doors. It was more of like my own thing in the past, and now it's more of like a collaborative project, I think.
Did you ever feel a pressure that you didn't want other people to feel with this band? It's like I had to keep this afloat. Did you ever feel that like that was sort of a pressure upon you?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, but it's also like kind of gone in waves and stuff. Like there's been periods of time where we don't play for a long time or whatever. Um, so yeah, I mean, it going on as long as it has with different members and stuff has definitely been only my responsibility to do that because I'm the only one that's been in it the whole time. But yeah, I think there's been a little bit of pressure to do that, but at the same time, I've kind of just been like go with the flow about it. If it's supposed to happen, it'll happen, and um, if people are supposed to be in it, they'll be in it, and if they're not, they're not. And I have periods of time where I'm like really pushing it, and other periods of time where I'm not. So it's kind of just a reflection of whatever's going on or how I'm feeling at the time, I think.
Yeah, when you aren't pushing it, is that looking back on those times of just like not doing maybe playing shows or writing new music, whatever that is, do you feel like in hindsight that those times are important for the band to keep going?
Yeah, I think it's good to, I mean, a lot of bands get burnt out, like a lot of bands kind of push too hard and then um they burn out. Um so I think it's good to like take a step back every once in a while and kind of like recharge your batteries. Um like we've been this album that we made, we worked on it for like a really long time. Like we recorded it over the course of a year, which is a really long time for us. And I feel like right now we're kind of like recharging before we would go back into a studio again. Like I've been writing a little bit, but not as much as I normally am because I'm kind of like, I don't know, waiting for like a turnover a little bit. But yeah, I think if you're pushing constantly, like whether it be with touring or writing or whatever, like if you're doing it over and over and over again, at least in my experience, for me personally, it becomes a little bit more watered down, you know. I'd
Yeah, and
rather,
in turn that might, I mean, that's gonna affect the band.
yeah, it's going to affect the band. Yeah. Yeah, if you're doing it more than you feel like you should, it's not going to be the best that it can be.
That's the right way to put it, and I didn't phrase it that way, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Um, did you feel like in those earlier days of people coming in and out and floating in and out and such, that everyone brought their own tone, if you will, to these songs that you're like, hey, we're gonna play this set or this set list at this show? Do you feel like those whoever was being brought in was bringing characteristics in that kind of shifted the song from its original form?
Yeah, I think everyone that's been in the band has like brought in a little bit of their own vibe or style. Like I was saying, it was definitely less cohesive in the past. Like one of our albums, our first like real album, half of it is um me and two guys, Aaron and Quentin, and then the other half is me and two other guys, Quentin and or Keegan and Trenton. So there it's like it's not super cohesive in the sense that it sounds um a lot different. It's kind of more like a compilation of like what should have really been two EPs rather than an album. But I think now having like a more solidified group and everybody kind of finding their own sound or style with how we are now, it's a lot more like cohesive and there's a lot more of everybody putting themselves into it as opposed to just trying to play or something, you know?
Would you be viewing viewing this time right now, reflecting upon the earlier days differently if it was a more solidified group even back then when it started? Do you feel like you would have wanted it to be more regimented in members and such?
Um, no, I don't think I regret it at all because I think it was all like a learning experience and everything. And the guys that are in the band now have been in the band for a while now, for like 5 years or something like that. But
Fresh guys, just
yeah,
newly in there,
yeah,
a
but
little bit green.
a little bit green. No, they've been in for a while, but yeah, I think it's kind of better to play with a multitude of people because it makes you a little bit more dynamic and stuff, and um, playing with other people is a great way to become a better musician and like learning to work with other people. Um, Not even in just a musical way, but yeah, learning to work with other people I think is a good way to become better. So I think having different people in the band was a good thing. But but yeah, it's definitely more solidified now, and I'm glad that it came to be when it did.
The time was right and the people were right to bring in.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody, I mean, everyone in the band, we're all best friends, it's awesome. So it's great.
Has the performance aspects changed over time? I mean, not just with other people, but just as a unit of whoever was in the band previously and with this current more solidified lineup. Do you feel like aspects have changed in that regard as well?
I do. Yeah. I think we used to be more of kind of like a party type band, we were more like a like college house show type band, and if we like had a few too many beers and we're like messing up or whatever, it didn't really matter. It was more, like we weren't super tight. We were just kind of like, not that we're super tight now, but like we weren't super, yeah, we weren't super tight. It was just kind of like let's just play kind of thing. And which is fun, which in a lot of ways is fun in itself, but um I feel like we've put a lot more effort recently into like dialing in like more minute aspects of our performance live. Like like for example, like I every show now I do like vocal warm-ups for like 5 minutes before we play. And I didn't used to.
Into the
Uh,
mic on stage, right? That's when you do them.
no, I do it. I like go into the I so well, most of the time I go into my car so no one can hear me, and I like play something on YouTube and sing along to it to like try and stretch my voice out.
What is a good YouTube video that you've found is
I
good for
there
this?
I've just like Googled or YouTube search like vocal warm-ups, and there's this one YouTube account that it's like I think it's a European guy that does like vocal warm-ups, and I just listen to those and do a couple of those for 5 or 10 minutes. And if I would have said that to myself like 8 years ago or something, I'd be like, why? Who cares? You know? Um, but now I'm like, no, I want to take care of my voice. Like I want to like not hurt my voice, and I want to like try and make sure I'm maximizing my range or whatever. So I think there's an aspect of it that is caring a little bit more than I used to in the past. And tuning my guitar, you
Oh yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's also sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think
It
that
used to be more of a sometimes thing, and now I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure my guitar's always in tune, you
it's
know?
a little bit overrated if you ask me, but that's just one man's
Yeah.
opinion. How do you feel when you perform live now? Has that aspect changed with with this evolution of performances in general?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a lot more not even nervous, but like a little more like wound up when I would play a show. Um, and if, we've played like some close to like 300 shows or something. Like
Again, just getting started with the new
just getting
guys
started,
and
yeah. But yeah, I've actually written down every show I've ever played, and I think we're getting
wow.
close to 300. I think we're like in the 280s or something like that. Um but yeah, I definitely used to be more like kind of antsy or just like wired up, and it's even when we play like every once in a while we'll play like a bigger show that's like a little bit scary or whatever, but I don't really get as like wired as I used to. It's not as scary as it used to be. It's just kind of like, okay, here we go. Let's do it, you know? So it's a
Now,
little,
around what number of show did that sort of kind of dissipate that
I,
feeling?
I think it's gradual over time, honestly. I mean, there's like, we've played a few, not even well, we have played a couple big shows, but we played shows where I was like, oh, we're playing in front of 1,000 people or something like that. And like, um, being, like nervous leading up to it and then getting up there and being like, nah, whatever. It's not that much different than playing a house show or whatever, you know? Um, so I think just over time, just realizing that it doesn't really matter. It's not really a big deal and getting used to it, I think.
Do you prefer a smaller performance rather than a bigger one?
I think rather than a smaller performance over a bigger performance, the thing that makes a bigger difference to me is how high I am off the ground, as weird as that is to say. Like I like to play shows where I'm like 2 feet above everybody or even on the floor. But like there's some venues like there's like the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, like the big room in the Catalyst. The stage there is like 6 feet tall. And like for some reason, like that bothers me. Like I don't like feeling like I'm like way taller than everybody else because then it really feels like you're on to, you're like a movie screen or something. Like I'd rather be like in it with everybody than being like on top of everybody. That it's more intimidating for me. Like I would rather play on the ground in front of 500 people. I'd be less nervous to play on the ground in front of 500 people than to play in front of 100 people where I'm like standing on top of their heads, you know? So, if that makes sense.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Um, is there a magic number in terms of audience members? Are you like, I like this amount of people?
Um, yeah, I feel like playing in front of like 200 people or something is odd. If I could just for the rest of my life play on a 2 foot stage in front of 200 people, that would be perfect. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's a good number, I think. We've played a lot of shows where it's like a bigger room and it's not as full, and if anything, it's kind of more awkward when you're playing with people that are like very spaced out from each other, you know? Um,
In that scenario of you being in the audience for a not so packed show like that, are you gravitating towards the side? Are you kind of or are you trying to make as much room
space.
or like take up enough space in in the audience so it doesn't look as strange.
think it's case by case, you know. If it's a band I really like, then I'm like, this is great. You know, I get to go right to the front and I have all this space and no one's breathing on me, you know. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I'm sure we've all been to shows where it's like you walk into a show and it's like, whoa, there's not a lot of people here. Like I don't really know where to stand or whatever, you know. I work in shows too. I work for like a concert promoter, so
Yeah, it's folk, yeah, right?
yeah, I work for Folk, yeah. So um I go to a lot of shows. I'm at shows like every week, so which is great.
With your you said 280-ish, give or take
In terms of an
performances.
audience,
No, no, no.
oh,
In terms
yeah.
of like shows that you played
Shows, yeah, probably like definitely between 250 and 300. I would like somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
in that range,
Yeah.
going to shows, has it changed the way that you view performances now of other bands in different scenarios when you're not playing?
Yeah. I mean, I think and also vice versa. Like
Hmm.
working shows has changed the way that I approach playing shows because I watch a lot of bands. Um, and there's like certain things that kind of bother me or that like will stick out to me or something that ends up getting applied to my own music. Like kind of just like one example and everyone's different, you know, like no shade to anybody, but like sometimes like um I'll be, you know, at a show or something and someone will just start like talking, just like riffing. And I've worked a few shows or been at a few shows where like someone's just firing off for like way longer than they should, basically about nothing, just like talking. And I've just been like, oh my God. And like I've gotten to the point where I like really don't like to talk. Like I've played shows where I just don't speak at all, and then like my band members or people are like, "You need to say something. Like you have to like say your band name or something at least." Or like even at the last show we played, like our agent came to the show and was like, "That was great, but like you need to say your band name more." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry," you know. So like
I
I
said the merch was in the back and the names on the t-shirts. I don't know
exactly.
what else you
Yeah.
want me to
Like I
say.
got the important thing out of the way, but yeah, like when I play live now, I like always make a conscious effort, like every like four songs or something. I'm like, this is the name of the band. We have new music out. We're playing again soon. Uh, and we have merch at the table. Thank you. You know, thank you to the bands that are coming. But like if it was up to me and it didn't affect anything at all, I would just completely not speak. Like I would just walk up and only play. Like I don't want to speak. And people aren't there to see me speak, you know, so I only want to do it when it's necessary. But I hate talking like at concerts.
Maybe you should snip this part of the podcast out and then just play it over your phone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
just
exactly.
just on a loop and I've already said it enough times.
You know, it's fun. It's funny you say that. Like, I don't know if he still does, but J Mascis from Dinosaur Jr., he used to have a guitar pedal, and like after every song, he would step on the guitar pedal, and it would just be like, "Thank you." It would just play like "Thank you" like through his guitar amp, and then he would just not talk at all. There was like a period where he was just not speak, and then after every song, "Thank you," you know. It's like
That's
it's
that's pretty
awesome.
cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
it's very J Mascis. But yeah, I mean, if people are talking, like that's their own prerogative or whatever. But I've definitely been to shows where, like, I've worked shows where I've had to like tell people to like shut up, you know, which sucks,
Ooh.
which I hate doing. Um, I think there's like a socially acceptable amount of like talking at a show, but you n- you know, you got to just read the room and know what's okay and what's not. You know, if you're at a house show or a party or something or like a bar show, like who cares? You know, if you're at like an intimate, like expensive acoustic show in like a special place and someone's just like blah blah blah, blah just like blabbing, you know, it's like come on, you know, like shut up. Like
Unless you're Henry Miller, zip it at the
yeah,
library.
exactly. Yeah, I work at the library a lot, and it's like sometimes there'll be like a pretty intimate show, and someone's just blabbing. It's like, hey, you know, you got to be quiet. You know, you're distracting from other people that paid $100 to be here or whatever. So yeah, that can be tough for sure.
Yeah. When you go to a show, when you're attending a show,
Uh-huh.
what is the first thing that you're gravitated towards just attention wise while a band is beginning to perform? What are you zoning in on?
I think mix, honestly, is the biggest thing, is like how a band sounds. Like, I don't, I couldn't care less about how people look or even like gear, you know? Like a lot of people are like kind of gearheads and are like, oh, they're, playing. And I used to be more that way, like, oh, look at all this like sick vintage gear or whatever.
Look at that sick thank you pedal.
Exactly. And there's an aspect of that that's cool, but I've seen a lot of bands with like really cool gear that don't sound that good or the mix is not that good. So I think that, the most important thing to me when I go to a show, like the reason I'm going to a show is because of the way that it sounds, So
Hmm.
it can be the coolest looking people with the best gear in the, most aesthetically pleasing venue ever. But if it's like not mixed well or if it's not loud enough or whatever, then it sucks. More than
Hmm.
anything, is how the band sounds to me, I think, which is completely not dependent on anything else.
Is that going through your mind as well? Is that the first thought as well when you step on stage now, or as you go into a song?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing that I always ask everybody like, how did it sound? Like, how did it was it okay? And I try to get like a good sound check in, um, and I'll give like little mixing notes. I'm like, don't put the vocals too high above the mix. Like, you want the vocals kind of in the mix. We're like guitar centric, so you want to have the guitars a little bit louder and other things. And a lot of times when we sound check, like I'll kind of walk off the stage and stand like with my cable running out like 10 or 15 feet into where like people would be standing. And then if something like doesn't sound right, if the bass is too loud or too quiet or something, I'll be like, can we like in the house turn the bass down or something? But you don't
So
always
that's
get.
why you want a small stage because it's kind of hard to hop off of a
That's
six
true.
foot stage with with a
Yeah.
guitar. Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
Outside of that, or once that is taken care of, let's say that's a non-issue, mixing of a when you're performing, what else what's going through your head? Are you just focusing on what you're playing? Are you focusing on the audience at that moment? What else is going through your mind?
Um, yeah, I kind of just most of the time I'm just kind of like locking in on what we're doing. Like normally we stand. Like I'm the lead singer and guitar player. I always stand off to the side. Like a lot of singers stand in the center, like in front of the drum kit. And we normally do bass in the center, and then I'm on the left side, and the other guitar is on the right side, is how we normally do it. But I'm like normally as far over as possible. And then I kind of angle in a little bit because I like to like look at everybody. Like most of the time when we play, I'm like just kind of locking in on the other people in the band, if anything.
Are you always, you said you're to the right, stage right or stage left?
I'm normally stage left, but
And do you try to be like, I want to be stage left?
I mean, if it a lot of I mean, we're kind of like an opening band. I always say that we're like the opening band. Like I like to open for other bands. So a lot of times like, other bands have their gear set up and we have to like work around
And
the
you got to
way.
unplug it and
Yeah, we got
and
to
make
unplug
it.
all their stuff and push it around, but no, we like kind of have to work around other people's stage setups. So when that's the case, we kind of just like have to work around it. But majority of the time, I'm always on the outside. Like I always try to go on the outside so that I can see everybody when we're playing. Because that's kind of how we practice too. We normally like all face each other when we practice. Like even more so than on stage. Like we literally like are all just like pointed at each other.
I think you guys should try that on stage. I think that'd be really interesting.
Like I've seen certain bands where like they play like facing inward completely, like they don't face the audience, which I think is actually kind of cool. Like I feel like other people would be like, no, that's stupid. But I'm like, okay, that works. If that's how you practice and that's how you sound the best, then just do it, I guess.
Do you try to keep performances of songs as close to how you originally wrote them and recorded them, or do you like to branch out in a live set and kind of add some new stuff that might not be on the original recording?
I think that our live songs, at least for the ones that aren't on our new album that's coming out, I feel like they sound a lot different live than they do on the recording. And I feel like a primary reason for that is because it's different members for the most part. Like a lot of our songs that we play live. that are on albums were with old members that aren't in the band anymore, so they sound different. Um, it's not, I don't think we're like jammy. Like I'm not like, oh, let's kind of like improvise it or whatever. It's more that just they've kind of evolved and sound completely different than how we used to play them. Um,
And do you enjoy that evolution of these songs?
yeah, I think so. I think it's good. I think it's good in a way. But yeah, like this new album that we have, um, the songs we really, most of them at least, probably three-quarters of them, we like really practiced playing them live a lot before we recorded them. Like we played them live because the more you play a song live, the more it changes a little bit.
Hmm.
And we played all the songs live for like over a year at shows, except for like two or three of them.
Again, just barely scratching the surface, like you normally do 5 years for the other people in the band,
Yeah,
300 some odd shows.
yeah.
Really
Just
just
brand
barely
green.
get I silk green, wet behind the ears. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think um it they sound more like live, the new songs sound more consistent to the album because the album kind of grew into its own from playing the songs live. As
Kind of a
opposed to,
little bit of a backwards.
yeah, a little bit backwards.
When you go to see, let's use Primus for example, do you want it to sound exactly the way that you know it to be?
I think it goes I think it's like a case by case basis
Circumstantial, yeah.
for bands. Yeah, there's certain bands um like I've seen Ty Segall a lot. I love Ty Segall, and Ty Segall, who opened for Primus.
It's a cool
He
lineup.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, he like plays song like he'll play old songs and he changes them up. I feel like he'll, they take on a they sound like a different song than the original recording or whatever.
Hmm.
But if I was to go see um like ELO or something, or Pink Floyd or whatever, or somebody that I have like a deep connection to like the recorded music, I would want it to sound like the recorded music. But
Hmm.
for a band that's more of like a live band, if I saw Sonic Youth or like I don't know, somebody like something that I view as like a live band, like a band that you would want to see live more than you'd want to listen to their records.
Ooh,
Then yeah,
that's interesting. Could you give me another band that fits that criteria
a band that you would want to see live over their records.
over listening to the record? Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm wearing a Butthole Surfer shirt. I would probably I've
That
never
doesn't count.
I, would, I haven't seen them live, but I would probably you know, rather I've seen a bunch of their live videos and they're a lot more chaotic live.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I feel like bands that are really reliant on like energy or like being loud, you know, like shoegazy type bands or like punk bands or something heavy, Um, like I'm looking at I have a bunch of records on my wall over there, and I'm like looking at my record wall, like Melvins, like I have a Melvins record up. Like that's a band that I would rather, see live, or like I think of them as like a live band, or like Yola Tango, or I don't know, all sorts of Dinosaur Jr.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I was referencing that pedal.
Cool. Thank you.
You mentioned this before. You mostly write by yourself, right?
Yeah, I think in the past with my band and stuff, I've mostly like most of the time I've written a song and like gotten it done like 80% of the way and then brought it to the band and they kind of like learn it and have played it and add a little bit to it depending on who's in the band. um but yeah, this new album that we are putting out, that's called Sun and Splendor. I should say something about it. It's called Sun and Splendor. It's coming out in August. Pancho The Wizards, two singles from it are out already. Check it out. But it was definitely more of like a collaborative effort. We um I would come up with something and bring it, and then we would all kind of like workshop it. And like some of the songs that are on it, like kind of got almost like a full overhaul or like rewritten like two or even three times. Like one of the songs we like before we even played it live, like we wrote it and then completely changed it and then didn't like the way that it came out after we changed it, and we completely changed it again, and like we completely rewrote all the lyrics, like the timing of the verse and stuff. So I had to completely rewrite the verse from scratch with like all new lyrics and stuff like that because the other ones just didn't fit. So it's definitely less of like a me thing now and more of like everyone together. Like I still write all the lyrics and stuff and make the make the calls for the most part, but um everyone else,
Tastemaker.
yeah, exactly, tastemaker. Everyone else is contributing a lot more than it was in the past, and then I'm kind of like riding to work around that, I think.
It's a solitary action for the most part for a long time and getting moving out of that sphere.
Yeah, which I think is good, like a lot of my favorite bands I feel like are the way that they are because it's like people with different tastes and different styles and stuff like trying to coexist with each other.
The self-titled album was the very first release from the band, right?
Yes, that's just on Bandcamp. Yeah. Yeah.
Available now.
Available
Available
now.
now.
You can still download it. It's not on Spotify or any streaming services because it does feel more like a demos kind of thing. Um,
Until it's put onto record.
so let's put on the record, which may happen someday. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know if I would even allow that. Maybe if everything else after that got put out on record, then I would allow for demos to get put on record. But
Well, I mean, you can't stop bootleggers for doing what they're going
if
to be
someone
doing.
wants to bootleg it, go ahead. Please do.
Would you buy a copy of that if somebody put it onto vinyl, put it onto wax, and was selling it?
I feel like they should, if they're profiting off it, they should just give me one.
You wouldn't support a small business?
A small business.
All right,
They're
man.
not supporting me. No, I would probably buy one. There's a really great video of
Neil Young.
Neil Young. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, where he
Hmm.
like walks in, he's like, "I'm taking this," you know. So
Yeah, he's pretty mean about it. I don't know if that would be
I don't think I would
your
mean.
your attitude towards
I
it.
think he's more stern than he is mean. I think he's just a stern guy.
Was releasing that first self-titled release, was that a huge step for you?
Yeah, I think putting something out and like seeing something through start to finish, even if I don't like it that much now or think it's that great, I think that was like the catalyst for me understanding that I can finish something. Like it was like all these bands I like or friends with or whatever were like putting out albums and I'm like, I want to do that someday. Like, can I do that? And then being able to do it, like doing something once makes doing it the second time really a lot easier. It's like skateboarding, like not that I'm really a skateboarder, but it's like people will try to do the same trick like 100 times in a row, and then as soon as they land it, they'll do it twice. You can do it. It's like
Yeah,
once you do it once, it's a exponentially easier endeavor to do it the second time. So I feel
that's a
like
good way to put it, by the way. I like the way that you worded that.
yeah. So I think putting it out, putting on a demos album or making an album made me realize that I'm like, okay, I can do this, and then taking other risk and chances and trying to do things, take on a little bit bigger of a project or something. Um,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
mean, in subsequent releases are is always a big step for the group and you, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, this last one especially was a lot. I've worked a lot harder on this album than I've ever worked on any other album or really anything. Just because it took so long, it took like a year to get it done. So.
Yeah, Sun and Splendor is the new album.
Sun and Splendor is the new album. It's coming out in August. We're having our release show we're calling it our release show. We're playing at the Lodge Room with Meat
Ooh.
Bodies.
Ooh, hey. Shout out to
Yeah.
Meat Bodies. Please go back and listen to um Chad and Dylan and Noah's episodes.
Those are the good buddies. I love those dudes. And we're playing with them in LA and in Santa Cruz. So
Very cool.
yeah,
Very cool.
they're awesome. Yeah.
What is the date on that one more time?
The 28th of August.
28th of August. Now, is there a release date for this album?
I think tentatively it's August 20th.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
The only reason it might get pushed back a few days is depending on how long it takes to get our vinyl. We have a vinyl coming that's getting pressed in Ventura, and it's supposed to be done in like the beginning or mid beginning of
Is
August.
it just self-released or is it
Self-release. We did it
okay?
ourselves. We recorded it ourselves. I mean, and with Nolan, who's recorded it for us, but like it was self-produced, pretty much, and we recorded it in like our houses and stuff. Like it was like in different living rooms. Like we just like did living room sessions at like 8 different places or like garages, did overdubs in the garage kind of thing, and got it pressed on vinyl ourselves, paid for it ourselves out of pocket, got it mastered a Chicago mastering service ourselves and are releasing it and promoting it ourselves, completely independent. So, um, yeah.
There's got to be someone funding this that you haven't mentioned. I don't know. I'm gonna do an expose on it and we'll find out.
You know who paid for it was the cash back on my credit card is what funded this album.
Well, what's in your wallet?
I
And we will see if we get paid for that. If
Yeah.
that joke's not in there, it's not in there because the check didn't clear. So
Yeah, well, just in case Arby's we got the beef or meats or whatever. So, get a second sponsorship there.
big fan of Arby's. I mean, we both are. I mean, we just love them so
Love
much.
Arby's. Arby's, please give me $10,000. Yeah.
That was pretty specific and like that's not that much for Arby's,
I mean, that would pay for another record, I think. So that's what I want.
which is gonna come out. You said that August is the release date for Sun and Splendor, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so September,
Yeah.
Arby's.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Arby's. Let's get some more money. Pay for our album.
Do you feel like there's a big difference between the first self-titled release and this upcoming album? Do you feel like it's just night and day, or are there some similarities between both of these?
I feel like it's a lot different. I feel like it's way different. I feel like this album that I put out is a lot different than anything else I've put out. But I guess that's for not and I don't know if it's necessarily better, but I think it's different than other things that I've done. But yeah, maybe other people will notice that or maybe not. But at least the way that I approached it and was kind of like kept redoing things and just making sure that I was happy with how things turned out, feels like a lot different of a process. It's maybe a little less raw, but
A little more
um,
sun.
a little more sun.
Tristan, thank you so much for coming on here, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, stoked to be here. It was great. Thanks for chatting with me and inviting me to be on the pod. And yeah,
yeah,
stoked.
yeah, I'm also stoked to use your lingo tastemaker.
Yeah.
Um, but before I let you go, we got some promo to do here. Again, Pancho and the Wizards, new singles, Less Than Zero and Be Here Now, from the upcoming album, which we're just speaking about. Sun is Splendor. Oh, sorry, Sun in Splendor rather. Are out now on all streaming platforms wherever people get their music. That's where they can find them, right?
Yep, yep. That's on everything.
Right on. And the other releases that we've mentioned are also streaming. And the first one that we had mentioned pretty heavily is only on the Bandcamp, which is where you could find all of the digital tracks, right? They're all for
Yeah.
sale.
You can download everything for free. If you want to make a donation, you're more than
Whoa.
welcome, but it's all pay at your own price. So if you want to download anything, go for it.
We're gonna fix that before this comes out. We gotta put it behind a paywall.
I'll put $1 on something maybe.
A
Yeah.
dollar plus like several thousand other dollars. Anyways,
Yeah.
we'll price that out. Arby's, get in contact.
Yeah.
And the Bandcamp is at poncho-thewizards.bandcamp.com. That's the URL there. And
Yeah.
everybody can stay up to date with news, shows, tours, and everything else by following the band on Instagram. Is it the best place?
That's the best place, and we got a bunch of shows coming up, so I hope to see you there. Hope to see some people at some live shows. So that's the
Phil,
best way to get the
we're
vibe of the band.
we're gonna fill it out, but we're only gonna hit. I forgot the magic number between
Let's have 200 people come to our show. That's perfect.
200 in not so big of a stage.
Yeah, I'd like Zebulon or something would be great.
One more time with the release party.
August 28th, we're playing at the Lodge Room with Meat Bodies. Um, And then I might actually have a public little barbecue album release party right before that. I think the weekend before, which is not fully solidified yet, but look out for that as well on Instagram.
And you'll be posting about that, or
Yeah.
Poncho.
Poncho, yeah, we'll be posting about that. We might have this a little like listening party or something slash barbecue.
Make sure to pack that thing out.
Yeah,
12 people
yeah.
showing up.
All standing really far apart, you know.
Yeah. Now, eventually, will the vinyl, for the people who can't make it out to these parties and shows, will the vinyl be released through the internet so people can order it?
Yeah, yeah. I hope to put it online. Yeah, I might just link it to our Bandcamp so that we can ship it to people who are out of the area.
Okay, right on. So yeah, so keep an eye out for that. If it hits the Bandcamp, but all of this will be all discussed in the socials. But everything that I just mentioned is linked below. Tristan, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And I appreciate it. And one more time, Sun in Splendor, out August,
Officially August 28th.
unofficially August 27th, and I will have vinyls for sale of my own. I will be selling them,
Yeah, bootlegs.
bootlegs. But Tristan, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
All right.
All right.